The conversation centers around Burrow's health and what Joe Burrow means to the Cincinnati Bengals. And Joe Burrow, throughout his career, has been an injury-prone quarterback. If we were to look at Joe Burrow and take a look at what happened his rookie year, injury, what has happened this year, injury, what happened 2 years ago, injury, Joe Burrow has been prone to injury in Cincinnati. When you're playing behind an offensive line that has had problems throughout the years, you are injury-prone. I understand the risks that could be there for Joe Burrow playing Sunday against the New England Patriots, but the risks aren't any different in Week 12 than they would be in Week 13, or they would be in Week 14, or they would be in Week 15. And those are the weeks that you were hoping to have Joe Burrow at your disposal. Unfortunately, you're sitting there at 3-7 right now, and you didn't win as many games as you would have hoped. You didn't beat the New York Jets in a game that you should have beaten. You didn't beat the Chicago Bears in a game that you should have won. You're sitting there at 3-7. And as I look at the NFL playoff picture, the playoff possibility for the Cincinnati Bengals, if they lose this game, while not eliminated entirely from the playoffs, it gets to a less than 1%. You're saying, Dan, what is the percentage if Joe Burrow does the unthinkable and goes and leads them to victory Sunday in Cincinnati against the team in the AFC that's tied for the best record? What happens to their playoff chances? Well, let me tell you what happens. They go up to 1%. So it's still a long shot, but it is the reason why Joe Burrow has been on this accelerated program to return this season. And if he's not going to play in Week 12, you might as well sit him for the rest of the season, because there'd be no reason to play him for the rest of the season. And it sounds ridiculous to sign a quarterback to a contract who's making $55 million plus a season and say, you know what? It's better off if we don't play you for 6 or 7 games because we're worried about your health. That sounds completely asinine. It sounds ridiculous. And before you come to me with the Jaden Daniels example, Jaden Daniels was injured while playing in a game that he should have been taken out of. Jaden Daniels would have started the next week for the Washington Commanders. That's the difference. This season for the Cincinnati Bengals rides this weekend. And when you couldn't count on one of your star receivers to keep the saliva in his mouth and not spit on another player last week, you're even asking more of your starting quarterback. Joe Burrow is so needed by Cincinnati. I understand Zach Taylor probably wants to play, but there is no doubt in my mind that Joe Burrow is starting Sunday like he has to for the Cincinnati Bengals.